Have you wondered about living elsewhere after you retire? Well, we have, almost daily. As you know, it's not an overnight decision. Hi, this is Gil
and Jean
of Retire There, a podcast about places to consider living in during your retirement. We started this show for selfish reasons. We will be retiring in the next few years, but we're not sure where. Then a light bulb went off in Jean's head. He asked, what are others doing? With so many baby boomers retiring, there must be many relocating. Let's connect with them and pick their brains. But first, a little background about us. I'm Asian, born in Brazil, and raised in Brooklyn. I'm an engineer turned attorney and practicing higher ed law at a college, and I love working with students, faculty, and staff. And now, I'm a podcaster.
All right. I'm not Asian. Born and raised in Long Island, New York, a place I've always wanted to leave. I'm a law librarian working in a court who loves his job. We've lived in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, New York for many years and have been thinking about our future home.
So we will be speaking to folks from around the world who have moved to venues of their dreams and more. And we will share their intimate secrets.
Whoa!
Just kidding. We will offer information you may not find anywhere else, though. So stay tuned. Buenos dias. We are off to Costa Rica. Costa Rica has a population of about 5 million. According to the Department of Immigration of Costa Rica, there were about 489,000 foreigners with residency status in the state, with the majority coming from the Americas. And this includes Rob and Jeni Evans, who moved there about 6 years ago, to San Ramon in the Alajuela province, but then they moved to San Jose. So they are the city slickers. A little background. Rob was born in Augusta, Georgia, and raised in Atlanta. Rob attended Georgia Tech in Dartmouth. He holds a master's degree in engineering in tribology. He built hip replacements. And he worked as an engineer for IBM for 32 years in Atlanta, Georgia, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Manassas, Virginia. A little interesting fact for those of you who are not familiar with tribology. It is the study of friction, wear, lubrication, and the design of bearings, the science of interacting surfaces in relative motion. Now, why is this of interest? Rob, we believe that you are either the fifth or sixth mechanical engineer on our podcast, including myself. My favorite course was material science, but at the time, I didn't know it could be a career. Jeni, born in Johnson City, Tennessee, and raised in Carrollton, Georgia. She attended Agnes Scott College in Decatur, Georgia, and she worked for a short period in a museum, then as an English teacher, and spent most of her time as a homemaker, where she homeschooled 2 of their 3 daughters.
Wow.
Good for you. We know who had the tougher job in that family.
The couple are high school sweethearts and have been married for 40 years this year. Congratulations.
Yes,
wow.
That's great.
Their 3 grown daughters are in Atlanta, Georgia, Los Angeles, California, and the last outside Montreal, Canada. Rob retired in 2014. The couple moved to Costa Rica from Raleigh, North Carolina in November of that year after 3 years of unloading all they owned. Wow. Their goal is now to live fully and to see as much of Costa Rica as walking, buses, and taxis allow. Jeni enjoys reading and quilting. Rob's interests include investments, programming, travel, Spanish, history, and he runs a Facebook group called Costa Rica by Bus, where he helps people get around Costa Rica on the public bus system. Wow.
So guys, thank you so much for joining our program. We have so much to ask you, and we are so curious. So why don't you start with your journey?
Well, I think you might want to start with the fact that I worked for IBM for 32 years, and they gave me an option to leave. And when that happened at about 57, maybe, I think, it's too young. It's a weird age, right? You can't get another job and you can't really go on Medicare. So we needed to figure out what to do. our medical expenses at IBM were like zero because they paid for everything. And then they went to $24,000 a year when I retired. So we needed to figure
went
out
from zero to 24,000.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's
when you pay for your own insurance.
Exactly. When you don't realize that have employer paid insurance, it costs a lot of money. It's not until you pay for it yourself that you realize how much it is. So we needed to figure out something. Either I was going to go back to work, or we needed to go find some place where we could get health insurance. And so then the second thing after that was to figure out, well, how far would we go? Mexico, Europe, Asia. And we just kind of thought that Costa Rica is kind of a mellow little place. It's got democracy. It wasn't very far, so we could reach our kids on both coasts very quickly. So that's kind of what got us started. And then after that, it was just a matter of unloading everything so we could get down to 10 suitcases so that we could leave.
I will say that Rob didn't wait until he was offered the opportunity to retire. He saw that coming. So he was already thinking about these things. He's pretty smart. He plans ahead. Where me is like, I'll just go along with whatever.
It's great.
So I think that's part of it too. You really have to be paying attention. Don't wait till things happen to you. So you have, so you've had a chance to do your research.
But it took a little while to, we talked for a long time because, for Jeni, the idea of being near the kids, having a house, all those things are things that you think about and whatever. So the whole idea of moving to a different country and getting rid of everything, she cried a lot when we got rid of like dishes and all this stuff like that. But it takes a little, and I would say is that we would put our stuff we took everything and put it into a storage unit. And then we go over on weekends and sort through it. And we only could last maybe about 2-3 hours. And we were emotionally drained, basically picking up everything that, because we had this thought that maybe our parents, when we meet them in heaven, would ask us that little stupid statue, what we did with it.
Little humble figure.
Yeah. And if we didn't remember where it was, that they would basically berate us in heaven. So the thing is, we pick up every piece and worry about it. We go there at 9, and by noon, we were pretty much mentally messed up because we just couldn't handle throwing things away or selling them anymore.
Well, also trying to make the decision. One of the things that we did is checked with our kids first, because everybody says, "Oh, but don't you want to save this for your children?" Mm-hmm. Thankfully, our kids are not that attached to things. They like their things, but they like what they pick out. And I'd always felt like all this stuff that we inherited, it was beautiful, it was nice, but it wasn't what I would have bought myself, but I had it, so I used it. I'm practical that way. But thankfully, the kids, they told us exactly what they wanted, which wasn't very much. We put that aside for them. And then we started going through everything and deciding how we would get rid of it. You don't realize in 30 some odd years of marriage how much you accumulate, even when you've moved around a good bit. You have a lot of stuff. And it means, some of it really means something to you. And some of it you weren't really sure what it means to you till you have to try and get rid of it. So what we did is we started going through things, that of value, and we found someone who would sell it for us on eBay for a reasonable commission. Some things we sold ourselves through Craigslist. We had yard sales, and of course we donated stuff. Several years before we started going through this process.
So we went from a 5,000 square foot house to a 2,000 square foot townhouse. Wow. And then we went from there to a 600 square one bedroom apartment. And then our final move was into somebody's bedroom. So we rented a bedroom from a woman, which we never thought was possible, but it was in a beautiful home and everything. So the whole goal was to get 5,000 square foot of house down to 10 suitcases. That's what the goal was.
We put our house on the market and it sold right away. Our townhome. Oh, wow. It sold right away, and we had to get out because it was already in move-in condition. The other people, they got whatever financing or whatever taken care of right away. So we had to get out. And then we moved tiny little rentals as we continued to get rid of stuff.
So that occurred all within the same year? You retired in 2014, and then you moved in November.
Well, I'd say probably 5 years. And it got faster and faster as we got toward the end.
did you know that you were going to move abroad?
No. What happened is that first off, we had a big house. At that point, we had 2 daughters in high school after Jeni stopped homeschooling them. And we always had this dream of living across from the school, the whole idea that your kids could walk to school. And so we ended up getting a house across the street from the school, which took about 5 years for both our daughters to go through high school. We loved it. The kids came over, lots of stuff after school. We probably retired there.
Yeah.
I mean, we started to make that handicap accessible. It was on a bus route. I was thinking it was great. But then, like I said, once I realized that I needed to come up with $24,000 a year in healthcare, I realized that we no longer could stay in the U.S.
Yeah. So even though Rob retired in 2014, I think, but like I said, everything, we just did everything in stages, we always tried to think, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And until we got rid of it all. I think the very last thing, we had a van load of a couple of pieces of furniture that, plus our suitcases, and we drove, and the van was rented. We drove it to Atlanta because we were going to fly from Atlanta. And those last couple of pieces of furniture we brought them to give away to a friend in Atlanta.
And it was kind of nice. So we're in the hotel at the airport. We took off our coats, took off our shoes, left them all in the hotel room, put on our flip-flops and our shorts, and we left.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
You guys are so daring. I mean, could you imagine if you had like some last minute situation and now you're without coats and
we would have run down Goodwill then, just picked up something. It was such a relief to just divest ourselves of all this stuff. And yes, some of it was well loved, but you know what? Every once in a while I think it'd be nice if we had this, or it'd be nice if we had that. But if you really miss it, well, go out and buy it again.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we've started that journey ourselves in kind of getting rid of stuff. And one of the things we learned was in any household, there's a minimum of 300,000 items. I subscribe to all these different blogs and what have you. And one way to do it is just to simply take little steps. And if we can get rid of, one item a day, each of us, we have a bin by the door. It would be a good start. Yeah, we started that about 2 weeks ago, and we only did a day.
But I will suggest to you that we found a lot of use in moving everything into a storage unit, because the thing is that you need to separate yourself emotionally from it. So, like, for example, if you don't see it for a month or two, you have a different attitude versus if you see it every day. So
it's a little bit of an expense.
It was an exciting thing for us. So we started off with a 15 by 15 with most everything there. And then we went to a 7 by 10, and we finally got down to a 5 by 5, and we would celebrate each time we would just basically move everything over to a smaller unit.
Okay. But I have to say one thing. The both of you, though, are in the same mindset, because you can't do it alone if one's dragging and the other's all for it. So have you guys always been in sync with your thinking? I mean, this is fascinating.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to let you have her part of it. But if you can imagine, here I'm 57. I'm 60 pounds more than I am right now. My blood sugar's up. My cholesterol's up. My high pressure. So basically, I figured, well, I probably had 10 years left to live, right? I figured I'd probably die on the job. That was really depressing. Yeah. And I think it was depressing for Jeni, too. And the whole idea is that, wow, we're just going to end our lives just dying here in place. And, we got married when we were, 20, something like that.
21, 22.
And then had kids. And so, we never went to Europe and backpacked. I mean, the day after I finished high school, I started college. The day after I finished college, I started work. So we never had a lot of early fun. And so the thing is that we just saw all that evaporating. And so as a result, I started telling Jeni, I'm not happy. I said, I'm going to die. And she just said, that's not acceptable. Yeah. And so the first thing was, they tell you have to get your spouse on board. And so the first thing I did was I found a lady in Costa Rica who wrote a book about moving to Costa Rica. I called her up and I hired her to take care of Jeni. And so I then flew Jeni down to Costa Rica for the summer. And I told the lady, I said, do whatever it takes to make her love Costa Rica.
She went by herself?
Yes, I'll tell you about this a little bit. So, I mean, yeah, I'll reiterate some of the things he said. You know, we've always had a good marriage, a good relationship. Not that we haven't had ups and downs occasionally, but, you know, we really care about one another. And I am kind of happy to go along with things. You know, and I'll put my foot down when it really matters. But everything he said is true. You know, I was worried about him. I was worried about, you know, our future as far as health and everything. So when he suggested this, I thought, well, it sounds like a fun adventure. And it was a little scary for me. Even though we've moved around a little bit, I'm that girl that grew up in a rural area of Georgia, and I took foreign language, and I was always kind of good with it, but only in class.
Yeah.
And I'm shy and introverted in a lot of ways. I have to work at being extroverted. Well, anyway, so yeah, he sent me down there for a month, and I had a very stressful teaching job the previous year, and he had told Lisa to keep that in mind, that I needed to de-stress. And this was down in Puerto Viejos in the Caribbean section of Costa Rica. Stayed there for a month and basically in the jungle. And it was hot and humid, and she didn't even have screens. I slept under a mosquito net. One night, the cat climbed in bed with me. I didn't have my glasses on. I couldn't see what up in the rafters. I just knew there was
God.
Oh my goodness.
because I had my windows open. And of course, there's nothing, no glass. She did eventually get windows with screens and everything, but she had the suicide shower and all of that. And but it was great because suicide shower is just, it's this it's not really going to cause you to have suicide. It's this little electrical device attached to the shower head that you can turn on to get hot water. It actually kind of electrocutes the water.
The whole idea of having electricity in your shower, you know, and it buzzes you every once in a while, but it's quite common in Latin America where they don't have water to have these suicide showers.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know the phrase. Oh, interesting.
Oh
God.
So it was the really rustic kind of way to live. And it was fun. It was an adventure. And since Lisa was so familiar with everything, you know, he paid her to take me on at least one adventure a week. Totally freaked out, though, when I decided to go on my own adventure. I randomly met a woman from Mississippi at a restaurant, and she and I took off one weekend to go to Panama.
I love it.
Yeah, and you know that's so not me to just do something like that, but I did.
Wow.
You know, I wasn't confident she had done it before, so she's a complete stranger, and but a lovely woman. So I just had a lot of fun. I probably was very reserved though at the time. You know, there were things that I didn't venture to do, but I did meet people. I kind of had my own little life there for about a month or so. In the meantime, he sent one of our daughters to Tamarindo on the other coast to take surf and Spanish lessons. And
Total family buy-in, if I can get it.
Yeah, because she was actually there longer than I was, but she wound up getting on a bus and coming all the way. Well, takes a couple of buses, came all the way across country to see me. So we spent a few days together.
Nice.
And we took her back to San Jose when I left. It was fun. It was an adventure. And I had a great time.
And I think when you got back, you said, when can we go?
Yeah, I was ready to go. To go. Although, you know, after I had a little time to think about it, I thought, well, you know, as much as I loved it, it was too hot and muggy for me there. You know, so we kind of thought, you know, that wasn't that's a good vacation place, but I don't want to live there. So I knew I needed someplace a little more comfortable. What he did for me, making sure that I was well taken care of when it's not something that it's not in my comfort zone to do this sort of thing. So he made sure I was comfortable, made sure that it was a good experience. So I was so much readier for it. You come here, it's very different than in the States. You know, in the States, you know how houses are in neighborhoods. And here you come and there's razor wire and fencing and walls, and you think, oh my God, is it just horribly crime-ridden? And, you know, once you're kind of used to it and you understand it more culturally, it's like no big deal, you know. But there's a lot to adjust to, especially if you haven't been to a lot of places, you haven't traveled much internationally. So that was extremely helpful. The other thing is he and I came down together later, his first time to be here. We went to a seminar where they told us all the ins and outs of moving here, just everything from A to Z. And then we had made friends. Over time, we had made friends on Facebook with people who live here.
Mm-hmm.
A few of them that we really kind of liked, we were interested in where they lived. We visited them. We took them out for lunch and picked their brains. Why did you pick this town? Why did you pick this place? Then that helped us to make a decision of where we would come. So that was, I think, one of the most helpful things we did is just making those connections.
Yeah, we had like 5 towns. We'd just buzz into town for a week. 3 or 4 days. And we'd invite them all over for lunch and say, and then we went around the table and asked them, tell us why you like this place, Gave us a chance to cover a lot of ground very quickly.
The thing with the social media is, I find this is true for expat groups all over the world. People can get a little snarky, but a lot of times they're not as mean and ugly as you think in person. Once you get to know them, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Curmudgeonly or whatever. Yeah, more curmudgeonly than really hateful. But you don't know that because it's so hard to tell with tone and everything. And people just kind of have fun with each other. Get the feel of an expat side of a country that you're interested in, and kind of, you'll find out after a while there are people that, oh yeah, this person thinks kind of the way I do. You can start to make friends with them and get to know them better. I mean, we know people all over this country now. And of course, with his Costa Rica by bus, people know us.
Yeah.
We'll be somewhere. We were in Mexico and somebody recognized him.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
That's so funny.
Oh yeah, because on Facebook, there's his face.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you can't just pick up and move down there. Was there a lot of paperwork?
Not a big deal. I mean, the thing is, in every country of the world, there's always at least somebody who is a facilitator. Okay. And they'll help get your stuff. And, in our case, we just so happened to come across a person in Los Angeles. And he was the son of the ambassador to Costa Rica in Los Angeles.
Wow.
And he was also a lawyer. And he basically took care of everything. You have to collect your birth certificates. It's kind of a weird thing. You request your birth certificate. Then you have to send it all back to the state from where you just got it. The Secretary of State then stamps it that it's real. And then what happened is then we sent it to Los Angeles. Well, actually, he took care of that. And his sister is the wife of the Supreme Court justice here in Costa Rica.
Whoa.
And so we sent it down to her, and then she would then work around the stuff. So what happened is we decided to come down in January and go to the seminar. At that time, we got a phone and we got a bank account. And we also went over and started this immigration process where they take our fingerprints to send off to Interpol and then sign all the power of attorney stuff to get done. Plus, we'd already had the stuff done in the United States. And then it takes about 10 months for them to process it.
Wow.
And then what happened is so we then got the word, we knew in October that we had been approved. Because once you're approved, you have 3 months to accept their offer. We were ready. We were in that room. We had our 10 suitcases. We were ready to go. We got on a plane, and we'd already made arrangements for a place to rent in San Ramon. So we just got on the plane, took our 10 suitcases, and we arrived and finished up the paperwork. And I think it's pretty much the same thing every country I've ever seen.
Yeah, the main thing is finding out from wherever you're going, whether it's Costa Rica or another country, as long as you can afford an attorney. I mean, because there's different ranges of budget that people have when they're doing this, and so some people do it all themselves, and they really need to know the language pretty well in order to do that, or they can at least hire somebody who will help them with. We hired a lawyer that we had found through this organization that helps people make the move. Now we have a different attorney here. But it really helps to have a lawyer who knows what they're doing, who specializes in helping you with residency requirements wherever you're going. And the locals cannot, like I said, through Facebook groups, can always make recommendations too on that. Okay. And then you can find out who really got you through, and got it done.
So what was it like opening that bank account? I had read a little bit about.
Like a no-brainer, man. I mean, the thing is again, this ARCR organization, which take care of expats, we walked over there. they gave one of their interns our information. And so, which a letter from our credit union, which says that we're good people. It was $100. Oh, and then our paperwork that this says that we're coming to Costa Rica. He does this 3 times a day. So what happens is he just walks over to the bank next door, gets the same woman every time, explains to them that these expats want to open a place, and he handles it. We just sit there and sign stuff. Now, a couple of things that were interesting to us is, number one is there's no Latin culture is kind of macho. And so the women are dependents. What happened is that we've always had joint accounts.
Right.
And the thing is that that's not a concept in Latin America. So the women are always dependent. So she could be a beneficiary, but she couldn't be a joint account holder.
Wow.
So that was kind of a little bit of a shock to us. So, for example, the reason why that's important is if I were to die, what they explained was she should go and withdraw all the money immediately. Because what happens is that if they get word that I died, they're going to close our account and lock it out until there's an inquiry into why I died. Those are kind of all kinds of things that are interesting. Now, and the second thing is we left for 6 months after doing this. And again, they froze our account because we didn't have any activity. I just had to go in there and fix it up again. It's not quite as slick as the United States is, but it's okay. No problem there.
And again, there's always, you can either, you can hire somebody to help you with the language part if you need to. But a lot of times, I mean, at least in Costa Rica, there's people that working there who know English. They study English. A lot of them know it. They just don't have the confidence. The main thing we found is even when you're working with someone who can speak English, you need to speak a little Spanish first. You need to greet them in Spanish. And once they realize that your Spanish is no better than their English, they'll make you stop and they'll speak English if that's a problem. I mean, again, it's better to know the language. It takes a while sometimes to get used to the conversation, but it's good to do it.
So let me explain. So first off, I hired a woman to take care of Jenny. Second, I hired an attorney to take care of all of our stuff. Third, I hired a local guide to take us around to those 5 different towns, explain everything to us. And then I hired a person to handle our bank and phone. So basically, I'm just pretty lazy that way. I have this theory that I only invest in things I'm going to do more than once. So I am very good at my taxes. I am very good at my investments. But all this other stuff, I'm only going to do once in my life. And I just don't see any need in being an expert in it.
It's true. That's a very good point.
Good point.
Right. And there are these people who are experts. They do it for their living, so why not? I totally agree.
But you talk about language. Did you take Spanish classes?
Like an immersion class?
How's your Spanish now?
Well, it's actually gotten worse during the pandemic because I don't practice it as much. And I'm bad about not studying these days. I spend my time sewing. I use Duolingo actually on the computer because it helps you more with the actual conversation. The other thing I did was I knew that the day we arrived, we had a friend who was going to pick us up and take us all the way to our little place to stay. But of course, there wouldn't be any food there. And we didn't know how we were going to get into town to get food. So we asked him to stop for groceries. I made a list. I used Google Translate, and I made a list of all the food items I would need and how to ask certain questions like,
great,
where is this or where is that, or do you have this or that? Of course, I wasn't prepared for the fact that they were going to answer me first. I didn't know.
Right.
And the directions are a little different. Well, if you're trying to find a store, they'll say it's so many 100 meters and then to the right. Well, 100 meters is a block. Okay, which I didn't know. I mean, when somebody told me something was 300 meters, I thought. But I had my list of food, and I did not translate peanut butter correctly, so that was difficult. I finally found it.
What is peanut butter in Spanish?
Oh, I don't even remember now.
Okay.
It's an unusual thing for them. Now I just buy peanuts and I make my own peanut butter. But
cool.
Peanut butter's expensive, and they don't sell natural unsweetened peanut butter here.
Oh.
At least that I've found. It may be somewhere in some store. Yeah. But having that list and teaching myself just a few phrases that I needed regularly was so helpful, and then it got me more comfortable. And then, there's a lot of little conversations I can have with people, as far as like, finding out about their family, telling them about my family. But, if we were going to sit and talk politics, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah, we got survival Spanish.
That's good though.
We know how to order food. We know how to find a bathroom. We can go to the hospital pretty much. And sadly, the thing is, they need to actually answer us in something. So if it doesn't sound like Duolingo, how are you? I am fine. If they ever deviate off course, all of a sudden we get a blank look on our face.
Well, we're learning, and we'll notice we'll hear certain things over and over and say, "Oh, we've got to learn what that is," and that helps. I'll tell you one thing that was great. We were with friends, and something happened, and we had to go report a crime to the police. Our friends actually know Spanish, but a local person took him in to actually talk to the police, and we stayed out in the lobby with his wife, and she knew no English at all. We had the longest conversation because we had Google Translate, and the oral thing, and Rob would speak into it, and it would translate, and it was great. We had a great time because it was a long time that we had to wait.
Oh my Lord!
It's just so awkward to sit next to somebody and not be able to communicate with them.
Sure.
And that, so, you want to show you're interested in their family or whatever. It's so painful, but we just kind of stumble through it. And it was interesting is during that class, they explained to us that, you don't need to know a lot about a language to communicate. So for example, I might tell you, I'm going to talk to you without using a single verb. Me, you, beach, lunch.
Mm-hmm.
We
That's
communicated,
right.
but I didn't know a single present tense, past tense, and any verb agreement or anything.
Right.
So you can get by.
Yes, absolutely.
And again, what happened is that one of the things that in Latin culture, family is very important. So as a result, you need to stop, ask people how they are. In the United States, right, you say, "How are you?" You never expect anybody's ever going to tell you that, how they are.
Right.
But then here, people actually tell you what's wrong with them. Then you ask them about their family, and they tell you about all their family. It's kind of strange for us in the United States because, we don't care about any of that stuff unless it's a close friend.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of go with the culture in some of those things.
Right.
Another thing that helps is, of course, one of the things some of our friends did, they made sure they moved into a Tico community, and they're surrounded by neighbors that are speaking nothing but Spanish, and it really helped them. And that's great. We happen to move into a little neighborhood. The apartments around us, it's kind of international. We have Indians, we have Latin Americans from various countries. We have one couple in our neighborhood where she is Czechoslovakian, he's Tico. Tico is Costa Rican. Their common language is English.
Oh
wow.
Okay.
But she's learning Spanish now that they're married and she's here. But we don't get quite as much practice. But one of the things, like my maid comes over and she speaks only Spanish, except when she tells Rob to get out of the kitchen. I think she knows how to say that in English. But she and I have a common interest in sewing, and so we'll talk sewing, and that made me look up words. Now I typically forget them because I don't get to talk about them very often. I look them up again. But the opportunities like that, finding someone who has an interest that you have, then you start learning those words in Spanish and how to talk about it.
Oh,
so
wow. So how do you say buttonhole?
Oh, don't even. I need to look it up. You would ask.
Zigzag stitch.
So.
Well, and some of the words you just use English because, at least I found out in Mexico. I went to a quilt symposium in Mexico.
Wow.
And they use a lot of the English terms there. And but it's very different. And that's another thing you have to understand is if you studied Spanish in Mexico, it's still going to be a little different in Costa Rica. So
Sure. Different accents, nuances.
And
right.
You're the friends you've met, are most of them expats, or do you have Costa Rican friends?
It's kind of a mix. Our closest friends are actually a couple of people from the United States that we met at the seminar. We sat at the same table.
Oh, wow.
Hit it off, and now we happen to live just about a block or so away from each other. And then in our neighborhood, like I said, it's kind of a mix. But
we're acquaintances with a lot of people,
Yeah.
but friends with very few.
Yeah, we're introverted, so we just mostly hang out with, our best friends.
No, that's nice. That's nice.
That's funny, Rob, since you're so
He's not an introvert.
you don't seem like an introvert on social media. You're out there. Many people know who you are.
Well, and it's funny too, because a lot of young entrepreneurs here in Costa Rica that have they're developing apps or services related to transportation.
Oh.
They'll contact him. We'll go out to lunch with them. But they're young families.
They speak English.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
speak English. So they wind up speaking English to us. So we just resort to English.
You're living accommodations in San Jose. Do you rent? Do you buy a house? Is it a condo?
So, here we are in San Ramon. We realized that we love the bus system. And we'll actually realize that we never wanted to drive again. Never wanted to have a car. Forget that. So we ended up taking a local bus from the mountain where we lived into San Ramon. And from San Ramon, we take another bus into San Jose, where we then catch another bus to go to the beach. Yeah, so it's a lot of work. So we realized, why don't we just go ahead and move to where the buses all start, which was San Jose.
Oh,
and so that kind of brought us to the idea that for example, give me an idea. One of the things you'll see often on the forum, somebody's power adapter breaks. And they have to drive 5 hours to San Jose to go get a power adapter for their computer or their phone. And I walked down the road. That kind of hassle was not something we were interested in. And as a result, we like the restaurants here. We like the museums. We like the transportation. We're next to the airport. And we like people. And so what happens is that I think a lot of people will retire, and they retire to the beach, or they retire to a mountain or whatever, because they always thought they wanted that. But it's kind of a little lonely. And for some people, I guess the thing is that, but for us, we like people, we like the city.
We like them around us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jenny. I'm with you.
But what I was going to say is the thing is that we saw on Craigslist a place. It's kind of like where all the embassies used to be. So it's a very old kind of place. There's maybe eight apartments here, surrounded by a fence. Landlord lives on site. And then there's another gate. So it's super, super secure. And the thing is that we liked it. And so I just told the owner, I said, the moment one comes open, tell us. And we took our 10 suitcases, put it in a cab, and we drove over here the day it was open.
Yes, we rent. It's kind of nice. I mean, it's a little, the place we have is a little old and kind of long in the tooth, but honestly, the layout, the size, perfect for us. We're at the end of the street. We have our own little garden area with both a patio and a balcony at the end of the street. And Rob's put plants out there. The owner has let us do whatever we want as far as plants. And it's just filled with green. Sometimes it's a little jungly.
So,
nice.
On our property here, we have bananas, lemons, oranges. We have papayas. So people always said, "Well, what are you going to do during the pandemic?" And I said, "Well, we'll just reach out and grab food off the trees here." But what I'd say is, he said, "So yeah, our rent here, and you're probably going to die, is $600 a month."
Wow.
What? And how big is the place?
And that includes water.
And then we pay $50 for electricity and $50 for internet.
50 for how long?
Per month.
And it's a 2-bedroom apartment.
About 1,600 square feet.
Okay, yeah.
Nice.
There's only one bath, which is typical. A lot of places here, 2 bedrooms with one bath. But we have a huge laundry room, and we have a storage room as well. Plus, like I said, that balcony and patio area, which are really nice. And then there's a small courtyard here where we can socialize with our neighbors and do, but it's secure. Is one of the things, when he's talking about the loneliness, it's all to each his own, right? Some people want to live up on the top of a mountain and have an incredible view. And I thought that's what we wanted. And we were working toward that in the beginning. But, as he said, I mean, we really are city people. But also a lot of the people, they're so far out, they really don't see people. But then they get together with folks, I mean, they have opportunities. They make opportunities to get together. So, I mean, I think you can make the most of whatever it is you like. The beach, for instance, just about everybody thinks they want to live at the beach. yay for the people who do. But, it's too hot for us. And then, we would put on the air conditioning, and then we'd be paying what we consider a small fortune in air conditioning costs.
Yeah, give you an example is that the temperature where we are right now is 72 degrees, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It's 72 plus or minus maybe 5 degrees. It might get to 62. Yesterday it got up to 85 when we were outside, but it's never off of that. And now when we go to the beach, it's more like 95. And the beach actually spend like $600 a month air conditioning.
And they have a big house too.
So, and they don't get the organic food we have, blah, blah, blah. We found out that most of the time we live here where we want to live, doing what we want to do. When every weekend we might just head on down to the beach and then, get all heated up and enjoy ourselves and then come right back. So we, after a week of beach time, we're ready to come back to the mountains and be cool.
Yeah. And how far away is the beach?
Maybe 3 hours on a bus.
Okay.
And I remember 3 hours either way. See, we can either go to the Pacific or the Atlantic.
Oh, wow.
So,
but I think if you drive, isn't Hucko only like an hour?
Yeah.
I mean, there are some that are, closer. It just depends, because people have their preferences, what kind of beach they like, which there's so many to choose from.
300.
I know there are people who have places at the beach where they get a good breeze and they're comfortable and they don't have AC. This is why we always say, don't buy right away. I mean, some people, you're super rich, you got all kind of money, do whatever you want, but for most people, it's really better just rent. Try out an area, find out if you even like it, because maybe it'll be too hot for you or too expensive or too dry or too wet. Most everybody we know have lived around a few different places. Some pick the right place right off at the start, but then you just have to try it out and see.
And it's interesting. One of the things that freaks Americans out is, you're used to zoning and you're used to all kinds of HOAs and all kinds of stuff. Well, in Latin America, it's quite common for the person next to you to have 6 dogs that bark all the time. It's quite common for them to blow off fireworks every day. They might even decide to open up a motorcycle repair shop in their house. So as a result, you want to make sure you can move as soon as it doesn't meet your needs anymore.
Yeah, and if you buy a place, it's easy to buy something here. It's a little harder to sell it.
Very hard, yeah.
Because there are issues like that. There's
chickens. Like, who would have ever thought that your neighbors has all chickens and they all
roosters crowing
roosters
all the
at
time.
5 o'clock in the morning or something.
Yeah, you just have to be careful of that.
You have a washer, dryer, and air conditioning. Yes.
No, we don't have air conditioning. No heat, no air conditioning. We don't need it.
Yeah,
Okay.
All the windows are open 24 hours a day, every day.
Every once in a while, we'll turn on the fan. I like the fan for white noise at night, and some nights it's a little hot, and I turn on the fan for that.
Is it so cool because San Jose is at a high elevation? Is
Yes.
that why? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Nice.
it's funny is that we have this homing beacon for 3,500 feet off the sea. Whenever we reach 3,500 feet, we're home. So we'll be at the beach at 0, and we're hot and everything. And then we head up into the mountains. And the moment we hit 3,500 feet,
We can feel it.
We're there and we're home
Wow.
free.
We'll be asleep on the bus, and we'll feel the difference in the temperature. When we lived in San Ramon, we'd know, okay, we must be approaching San Ramon. And sure enough, we open our eyes, look around, and we know where we are.
And see, that's the secret is that the temperature in Costa Rica is dependent on your elevation. So for us, 3,500 feet is 72 degrees. Now we can go up the volcano next to us to 5,000 feet, and it's like 60 degrees. It's just way too cold for us because they have to have wood burning stoves, and basically you're actually in a cloud forest a lot of the times, or you're on the beach at 0 and it's 95 degrees. It's like 27 microclimates in Costa Rica, and all you have to do is just move up and down the street, and you can get a completely different climate, temperature, and everything. That's compared to like when we were on the East Coast, it's all the same, right? I mean, the thing is some hurricane goes through Atlanta, and you're sitting there watching on the news, and it's going to be in Raleigh in like 3 hours.
Right.
And so much different here.
Yeah, when we lived in San Ramon, we lived a little high up on a mountain, and I guess there's a lot of moisture up on the mountains. And so in the late afternoon, it becomes very foggy. It all starts to condense, I guess, and it gets really foggy. You have to close your windows. You have to close the doors. because all that moisture starts coming into the house and everything starts to mold and mildew.
Oh.
People that live up there have to clean a lot of mold and mildew regularly. Yeah, I mean, it's something to consider. And you have to be careful, like with your clothes. If you have something you haven't worn in a while, it's going to be mildewing. You need to pull everything out. You have to move stuff around. And where we are right now, we don't have quite that much humidity and moisture in the air. But, when we go on our morning walk, we look over in the map, we see the mountains beyond, and there is always this cloud.
Yeah, they're all living in a cloud. Yeah.
So no photographs or any kind of media that could be destroyed.
So biggest sad, those people who don't make that change and get rid of everything, they put it all into a giant trailer, and they bring their piano, they bring their camera equipment, they bring all their books, their paintings, their leather couch. It's all going to be gone in the year. Our doors, our windows, everything's open all the time. We don't think we could ever live in the United States ever again in air conditioning. The whole idea that, your windows are closed, it almost feels like a prison, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, and also just the air, that recycling air all the time.
What about bugs and flies and all that? You don't get it?
They come through the house all the time. Yeah. What happened is we'll be sitting there watching TV and a lizard will run through, or spiders, whatever.
You have to accept that you're going to have critters in the house. Now we put some screens on the windows,
but they're mosquitoes.
But they're for the mosquitoes, but they'll still get in, and so we'll put a little plug-in things to kill them, and the lizards will come in and they'll eat stuff, and you live with ants. Everybody lives with ants.
Well, I'll give you an example.
No. Gillen does not live with ants.
Oh, yes, she does.
Oh, you will.
Well,
she does. She's joking.
Well, let me tell you about
I hate ants.
Do you know what army ants are?
I hate ants.
Well, and with army ants, like for example, when we were in San Antonio, it was quite common that we would be sitting there and you'd be watching TV, and then you'd see all the spiders and scorpions all running across the floor. And you'd look out the window and you realize that there's like 1 million army ants headed toward your house.
I think several.
They coat the walls, they coat your house. They just basically take over your whole house looking for bugs.
But they clean it all out.
Yeah, so a lot of people, instead of fumigating or using any kind of pesticide, people just basically open their doors and the ants come through, they clean out all the insects, and then in an hour they're gone, so.
And I've heard of people, they see them coming and they'll just put a little ring of water around themselves.
We just sit there and watch TV while they just run past it.
Yeah, and just wait till they're done. And it maybe, I don't know, an hour or something. Now we've never had that happen here in San Jose.
It's too cold, I think,
yeah, but it happens in places. And in our first place in San Ramon, they'd only send a few scouts actually into our house because I think they would go up through the attic, through the roof, and clear out everything there, which is great,
But it was
I've never heard of this. Yeah.
And the leaf cutters, we have leaf cutters that, if you're gardening, you may curse the leaf cutters because sometimes they'll attack one of your favorite plants, but it'll come back, it'll be fine. But they're fascinating to watch. Everybody loves watching the ants. If you spill some food, don't worry about it. If you in about an hour or so, it's going to all be gone because the ants will come in. They'll take it off.
This is kind of like people leave stuff on the floor for their dog, right? For us, we might kill a scorpion, and then we'll forget to clean it up, and then we'll see it marching across the floor as the ants all take it back.
Oh my Lord! It's like a vacuum cleaner.
So you were talking about how your apartment has a fence around it, and I was reading that San Jose seems to be very safe. Why is there a fence around?
Well, the thing is, okay, here's the story. When we were in the United States, I'm sure you pay a lot more property tax than we do, but we had a house and we spent $2,000 a month on property tax. And that included having a policeman basically come through our neighborhood 2 or 3 times. There are no police here, really. That $2,000 a month, a year, basically goes to home security. And so everybody here has a fence around their house. They have barbed wire, or I guess it's razor wire or whatever. And so it freaks you out when you first see it because you think to yourself, oh my gosh, I'm in prison. That's how they handle. In the United States, we handle security by paying police. Here, they do it by securing your property. In our case, for example, we have a steel door in the front of our house. You're not going to get through that. Then there's a fence around our 8 units. And then there's a guard's gate at the very front. And I think they pay him like $100 a month or something. I have zero security costs. Property tax here might be like $200 a year. So they don't invest in all the things that the people in the States do. They do it differently.
To the side of the razor wire, and the fences are beautiful. I mean, it's often either just a concrete wall or it's a combination of concrete wall and wrought iron gate. I like the gates better. I think they're prettier. And I actually, the wall makes me feel like, oh, if nobody can look in, then nobody will know if I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah.
I like the gates. I think they're pretty.
Let me just mention two things. One is you might see stuff in Costa Rica where something bad happens. Inevitably, it is a single old guy who basically OD'd on Viagra, or they basically tried to buy or sell drugs, or they tried to cheat a prostitute. Now, remember, prostitution is legal here. A lot of American guys come down here on fishing trips, and they go downtown, and then they do something stupid, and they either get killed or they OD. For us, at least, it's just like every other place in the world. There are bad people, and you just don't do drugs in their property. You just don't try to sell drugs. You don't try to report them to the police. You just stay away from them.
Well, and you don't flash money and gold jewelry and stuff, when you're in, places where, I'm sorry, cities anywhere in tourist areas, there's always people there looking to take advantage of tourists. Like with our friend, he forgot he had on a gold chain with gold medallions all over it in town, but he did that day and somebody tried to take it. But I'm going to tell you, people all around us immediately just came to help. I mean, it was amazing.
Oh, wow.
Some guys took off chasing after the police. They called the police to go after him.
Wow.
People are wonderful, but, it's in the city and, there's poor people in the city.
And I will mention one thing that's interesting. Because we don't have a car, we walk and take the bus everywhere. The locals, the Ticos, freak out all the time. I don't know, the thing is that you probably have this in New York City and you think to yourself, somebody says from Iowa says, oh my God, I can't believe you live there. You're going to die.
True.
Yes,
True.
yes.
And we got the same thing too, is that we are all over this place all the time. Now, we're not going to be there at night. People freak out, locals, that we actually walk through Barrio, Mexico or whatever. They basically tell us every day that we're going to die. Well, but I just took the bus over there,
But it's just like anywhere else. If you know the neighborhood, if you feel comfortable there and you're not doing anything that you shouldn't be doing, or you don't appear to be so much wealthier than whoever is there, you just have to use your good sense. What
I'd say is the secret here is that, and I think what most gringos enjoy is that there's petty crime. You got that. Somebody robs your wallet or whatever like that. So be it. But the thing is, there's no violent crime. So it's not like somebody hijacked. The thing is, that's the stuff like in New York City, right? Is that once people go to violent crime where they kidnap you or they carjackings or whatever, then all of a sudden it's a different ballgame, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of thing is not common.
No.
We've been here, 6 years now, and the only thing that's ever happened, somebody tried to pickpocket him. He's got lightning.
Took him down.
Guy, and it was downtown, and there's a tour in that area, and of course, that's the only thing that's ever happened to us.
I'm going to tell about that one.
What? Oh, I left my purse on the bus one time, and my iPhone was in it, and of course, I've got Find Your Phone on there, and when I realized I didn't have my purse, he does the Find My Phone, and he realizes it's not on the bus; it's somewhere in the town. What happened was somebody saw that I had left my purse there, picked it up, and was trying to figure out how to get it back to me. Nice. They knew that somebody else would just steal it but he called the local police because we didn't want to go to this person's house and just say, give me my purse.
Yeah.
We don't know who they are.
Right.
But he said, I think they're just trying to help, but I don't want to take any chances. So they went with him. They found the neighborhood. The mother of the person said, "Oh yeah, my son or daughter, whatever, found your purse and is trying to get it back to you." They gave me everything. Everything was fine. It was great. It was perfect. And I really do think that person was trying to protect my property, because if it had been left on the bus, I'm sure some poor person would have taken it. I mean, you can't blame it, but.
And again, it's not a big deal. We've lived in Atlanta and other places, but everybody here has a guard. And, so again, no police, no burglar alarms, none of that stuff. Basically, everybody hires for like $10 a day a dude to stand outside their business with a gun. I'm not even sure if they've ever fired it before or whatever. I don't even know if they even had bullets. But, that's the way they handle security. So,
yeah, it's interesting because I was actually born in Brazil and lived there until I was like 5.5. And everyone in Brazil had guns. It was just a very natural thing. My father, I don't know, maybe he had one also, but so that's just a way of life. But when you think about it, I mean, here we are in Brooklyn. I don't leave anything open actually, but for good reason. Sure. I don't think it's dangerous where we are, but I would never even think of buying a gun. That's just who we are. People do say, how could you live in New York? Aren't you afraid of the crime?
Yeah,
and
it's so safe here. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really safe here. So yeah. Can we talk about healthcare? Yeah,
sure.
Take us through that.
Again, I told you it was $24,000, which is unacceptable
in the U.S.
Yeah. So the thing is that in Costa Rica, like most every other country in the world, has socialized medicine. Probably not the greatest thing in the world, but it does it keeps most people healthy. And we thought we'd probably use it. It cost us $70 a month for both of us. If we get hurt, we go over to every neighborhood has a local health clinic. That you can go to, and it's filled. And there's bad things, like for example, in our old place, you had to show up at 5:00 in the morning to get an appointment for 10 o'clock. And so for gringos, that's I can't do it on the internet, blah blah blah. And so there's other situations like, I don't know, let's say you need a hernia operation, they might schedule you 3 months out. Well, yeah, but in America, I could pay for one tomorrow. Well, you're not paying for it. So the thing is, they schedule that stuff out. Our neighbor, who is 80, prostate cancer. First, they told him, they said, well, it takes about 10 years to die of prostate cancer, and you're going to be dead in 10 years. So we're not going to invest in you. We're going to take that money that we would have invested in you, and we're going to put it into children who have a long life in front of them. And that's the kind of thing you have to kind of understand now. But
private options are available. So it's not like you just have to accept that.
So we do that. We understand that. We've been over there. It's much better if you speak Spanish, of course. But the thing is that it's there. So, but we have a private one, which is, I think it's $3,000. So we went from $24,000 to $3,000, a year. Mm-hmm. So what was interesting is the first time I got a quote and they told me it was $3,000, I had to ask them if that was per month or per year.
Sure.
That's an expat one. It covers us here in Costa Rica and anywhere else we go in the world, except the United States. The United States basically is excluded from most every healthcare because it's way too expensive.
So that's $3,000 a year for the both of you.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
That's wonderful.
That's
wonderful.
Amazing.
We live 4 miles on either side from the 2 best hospitals in Costa Rica. And so any American who doesn't have healthcare will fly here and go to one of those 2 hospitals. So, we feel pretty comfortable that we can, everything here take care of that we need to.
Mm-hmm. And what about drugs and pharmacies and things like that?
In Costa Rica, as in I think a lot of Latin countries, you don't need a prescription.
Oh, we just heard about this. Yeah.
So, the thing is, if you want a drug, you just walk over there and get it. And another thing that's kind of interesting.
If they have it. They
except
might
for
not.
narcotics.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the thing is that what's interesting is the person at the pharmacy is a doctor. So it's quite common. I don't know, let's say you have a rash. You would go to the pharmacist and they would treat the rash. I bet you that if you cut your hand, they'd probably sew you up. So there's a kind of a merging of a primary care and a pharmacist at every pharmacy.
Mm-hmm. That makes so much sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, we might have to go to a primary doctor in the States, pay them $150 for them to write a prescription for, Adderall. But here, you just walk over there and you tell them and they give it to you. Cost savings.
You don't need a prescription, but are they expensive or inexpensive?
People say they're about a third of what the United States pays.
Wow.
So what happens, a lot of people will come here on tours with their little list of, we've never taken a drug in our life, but they hand them over to a pharmacy and then they add them up. And they say usually when it's all done, it's about a third of what they would have spent back in the States.
Yeah, because usually all we need is like maybe an antibiotic or a skin cream or something. So My doctor may write out a prescription. I'll take it in and they'll give it back to me after they finish filling it. So I've got my little thing, and I know next time, when I run out, what to go ask for, and I just go in and ask for it, and I get it.
Now, I will tell you that for some gringos, it freaks them out because they have some special drug that blah, 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 and all they're going to have here is the generics. And so that freaks them out a little.
Yeah. And they don't carry some medications that some people want. So some people actually go back to the States to get them.
Like a 90-day supply or something. Insulin, was like $1,000 a month.
Oh, yeah.
And here it's free.
Wow.
Yeah, if you are a resident, legal resident, and so you have to join the CAHA, the socialized medicine program, and so you buy it through that, or you get it
free from them, or you can even buy it for like $10 or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheaper.
What about for entertainment? Are the movies, are they in Spanish or English?
Both. So that's the thing is you can have a Spanish movie in Spanish with Spanish subtitles. You can have an English movie with Spanish subtitles. Whatever you want to get. Thing is,
if you go to the movie theater, they will have a schedule. When they have the schedule, and it'll tell you whether or not it's dubbed into English or if it only has English subtitles. If you're wanting to go to see like a U.S. movie, for instance, you can either see it in Spanish if you like, or you can see it dubbed or with just Spanish with English subtitles. But it'll show you on the schedule. We just don't go to the movies. We do our Netflix and we don't worry about it. But we've gone to the movies a couple of times when we were at the beach.
What other popular forms of entertainment are there?
Well, there's museums here.
Okay.
And then they have semi-cultural things. They might have a dance group or we went to a couple of, was the voice, singing groups and stuff like that. There's those. And what's interesting about them is they have, since we're seniors, I think it might be $1. So basically, we'll go to like if you can imagine a beautiful old opera house, but you have to go
National Theater.
You go at 3:00 in the afternoon, and it's $1. Of course, we love to come to New York City, and we love to go to Broadway plays. You're never going to get any of that stuff here. It's never going to make a stopover in San Jose, compared to like we looked at maybe living in Mexico City, and it's quite common for maybe the Lion King to come there. And the ticket is like $50, not $200. Or Hamilton for $50. For $200. We can't get that here, but we could get on a plane to Mexico City for $50, go watch Hamilton for $50 and come home. So the thing is that those are some options you have.
Yeah, exactly. But there are some lovely performances at the National Theater.
Yeah.
It's quite a variety. Well, we don't probably take as much advantage of it as we should, but some people do it regularly. They make a whole day of it. They drive into or even a weekend of it. They drive into San Jose, get a hotel, see a show at the National Theater.
And I think Ticos, they're really into parades. So we have all kinds of parades going on all the time for everything. So
yeah. How often do you come home or to see your kids? Do you fly often?
Used to be about once a year. Well, we go to LA for like a month. Or we would go to Atlanta for a month, or we go to whatever for a month. That's usually what we do, is just kind of park ourselves for a month near one of our kids and see them.
Yeah, one of them would come down here more often, and then another one met us in Mexico. As a matter of fact, right before the pandemic, we met in Mexico.
Cancun, for a month. Again, one of the things that's different when you retire is we don't have those little 2-week vacation. We do everything in a month, and we were actually exploring the whole idea of living someplace for 3 months now. So next we go to Europe, just basically spend 3 months traveling around versus the whole buzz into Paris for a weekend and come home,
Right.
That's what we want to do.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. We have like the annually 90 days here, 90 days there, and really looking forward to that. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
It's quite common for people to come to Costa Rica, lose all their medications. So I would say is that in my case, remember, I lost 60 pounds.
Wow.
You're outside in the sunshine. You're walking all the time. There's not, unless you work at it, you're not going to find much processed food. There's a McDonald's every once in a while. But the thing is, you're eating mostly fruit and vegetables. You're walking all the time. People
less
lose
stress
weight
because you're retired.
Yeah. So what I'd say is that a lot of people here don't, they get rid of their insulin. They get rid of their cholesterol medicine. Everything that's wrong with American diet is basically fixed here.
or can be. I mean, you can recreate that U.S. lifestyle here if you really want to, and you can spend the money to do it. But if you adapt, you'll be surprised. I mean, if nothing else, you take less medicine. Some of our friends don't have to take insulin anymore. Some have to take seriously less insulin than they did. And it's all because they just made the effort to just live differently. It's a lot easier when you move to a whole different country. It's so easy to change everything, because if you stay where you were, the old habits are just too hard to change.
We rarely ever have sugar now at all. I mean, it's just, and we maybe have eaten at McDonald's like twice a year. I mean, it's not something we do anymore.
So do you cook mostly, or what do you?
We do.
Well, that's the difference. And I had a little list of how my life has changed. It was pretty common for us probably to prepare food for 15 minutes and probably eat for 15 minutes. So to get it all within 30 minutes. And now I probably spend an hour or two preparing meals, and then we spend about an hour eating it. A lot of our life now is just eating. And the thing is it's so weird.
I love it.
So if you have to start with all your vegetables and fruits from scratch, it just makes it a lot longer. But we enjoy it and have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'll say something else about that. Okay, you can go to a grocery store. They, some of the local stores, or in our neighborhood, there's a guy who drives a truck in here on Wednesday mornings, and you go and you pick out your vegetables, or you can go to the farmer's market. They're very common here, much more common than in the States. And you go to the farmer's market and you just buy from all these different vendors, all sorts of things. And there's even a daily one downtown here in San Jose, because the restaurants buy from them.
Oh, wow.
And they have everything. And they're
picked like yesterday, right? 3:00 in the morning, they were picked and they're brought in.
Yeah, it's all big fresh stuff. And then some of the markets are organic. And there are some at the beaches too, that are organic. But I like what's available here in San Jose for us, but I'm sure other people have their favorite places. But you just make all this wonderful fresh food all the time, and there's so much fruit available that for decent prices, that why make something sweet? Also, the cakes and pastries here are normally not all that good anyway.
Oh, that's good.
And the fruits are amazing.
That should be my goal. Look for a place with bad dessert.
Bread products here are kind of, I mean, a lot of people wind up making their own sourdough bread just to avoid having to buy what's in the stores. But I did that for a while, but now I really don't make bread that often. So you wind up eating the food that's really the best for you. And it's so easily available. You can get people to deliver fresh milk. We've got one that comes by here. We don't usually buy.
Who does that? They come by with a little thing and they put it in a plastic bag and giving it to you,
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Get in a plastic bag.
Let me tell you about that. Two things, again, different in the United States. One is they don't refrigerate eggs. So you'll walk and the eggs will be outside all there. And it has something to do with the United States cleans off the protective coating on the outside. So you have to refrigerate them. But eggs are not refrigerated here. And the other thing, milk is not pasteurized. So the thing is unless you buy Gringo milk or whatever, but the thing is there's a few things like that we're kind of used to in the U.S. that are different.
Yeah, the milk you buy in the stores is pasteurized. But the stuff you buy like at markets and stuff, it's not necessarily pasteurized. It's raw milk.
Sure.
They a lot of times they've skimmed it, but
Okay. So I think we've covered a lot. What advice do you guys have for future retirees who wish to move abroad or to Costa Rica?
Well, first of all, start doing your planning and your research early and start divesting yourself. I mean, if for no other reason, even if you end up staying where you are, which some people will, get rid of all that crap.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to dust for the rest of your life, or don't spend a lot of time dusting. You just start divesting yourself of all the extras that you really don't need. Start simplifying your life.
But I think before doing what Jeni said, you have to decide where you want to live. And for us, like I said, we walked down the list and said we wanted to be, let's say, close to our kids. When I say close, we get there in a day. We have to, a certain budget we have to live within. And one of the things that we struggle with a little bit is, there's a concept when you retire as a retiree to basically move in next to a hospital, getting ready to die. So every day you're ready to be going to the hospital. And we have to kind of struggle with that whole idea is that, we could live in a different place, but guess what? We could also die of a heart attack on the way to the hospital. Yeah. So how are you going to live your life? And so, once you have all those things all lined up, it will kind of point you to some place. And for us, like I said, financially, the only place that we could start life at 57 and live the rest of our life was not in the United States. It could have been anywhere. And then the second after that was we wanted to be sort of close to our kids. Okay. And the thing is that we really love Mexico. We want Mexico, but we just haven't found it. Just what didn't work for us. Mm-hmm. So the next country down, go through Venezuela and through Guatemala and El Salvador. Then we get here, and this place is Disneyland. It's basically set up for tourists. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it's easy. It just makes it easy for us. So basically, this is where we landed, and we every month we probably go through a list of where else we might want to live. Do we want to move to France? Do we want to move to Mexico?
We like having options available.
Yeah. But we haven't been able to find any reason to do any of that.
Yeah, we love exactly where we are right now. It's just we're satisfied.
Yeah, and you get your Social Security deposited right into your accounts, right?
So we don't have that yet.
It's best to probably keep all of your money in the United States. Mm-hmm. And if I want any money, I just walk over to an ATM and get it. And then most of our stuff is like Roth IRAs, so we don't have any federal tax.
One other thing, and it's not so much about Costa Rica, it's just retirement in general. Some of the best advice I got was from some people who had retired here. They said, once you come here, don't immediately start signing up for things because you'll get yourself kind of busy. You'll start recreating your lifestyle from the U.S. Give yourself about 6 months to figure out what you gravitate toward, what you really want to do with your time. And we saw that, we saw some people who were so involved in some community activities, which are great. And, we admire them and everything, but they were so busy. They had calendars and so the only thing we keep a calendar for is when we have an appointment, the dentist or the doctor or whatever, occasionally, a get together with friends. But that helped me to kind of think, what do I really want to do? And I've seen that with other people who take their time. They do kind of gravitate toward what they really want to spend time with that they never really had time for in the States.
Yeah, let me explain that a little bit. So again, I told you, we went from high school to college to marriage and whatever. And I think a lot of other people did the same thing too. And so the idea of me ever being an artist, well, there's no money in that, no profit. I didn't have time for it. Learning another language. There's a lot of things in your life that you set aside when you were young because they weren't profitable. You didn't have time, whatever it is. That once you retire, it's hard because they're in there, but you really have to work hard to bring them out again because you spent your whole life denying yourself, and that you have to rediscover what your real passions are.
That's really
You struggle about flying to the States every once in a while. Is it expensive to fly to Costa Rica?
$500.
One way or round trip?
We're on a round trip.
Round trip. Oh, that's not bad.
With Costa Rica being a tourist destination, there's always a plane landing here from somewhere in the world. And they always need to put us on it to go back. For a while there, we were really working hard on Mexico City and Guadalajara because both of them we could get to Los Angeles in 2 hours or whatever. And so we probably would have loved to have been closer to a super duper international airport, but it's not bad. And again, our kids aren't that far away. But like, for example, we thought, well, what if we lived in Portugal? What if we lived in Vietnam or Spain? Well, that could easily be a 2-day trip there,
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And you said you could fly to Mexico City for $50?
Yeah, it is special. I think it might be 80, but we go to Guatemala for 50. Cancun was $80.
I assume you have a pension, or both of you have pensions. Yes. So that's very helpful.
But we have a 3-legged stool that we live on my IBM pension. Then I have investments that would probably give me as much as my pension. And then we're going to probably wait till we're 70 to get our Social Security. I had always, again, being an engineer, I wanted a fail-safe system. And that basically means that I can lose 2 of my legs. Social Security can go away, or my pension can go away and I still have investments, or vice versa. Whatever it is, I have the capability of losing 2 of my legs and still being able to live on my retirement.
Right. We're thinking along. I have the spreadsheets and, I'm looking into all that stuff as well. So good. Okay. Any last words or thoughts? This has been unbelievable.
Oh, good. I'm glad it was helpful.
You guys are great.
Yeah. Main thing is, if you're going to go live in another country, and again, it doesn't matter where, you just have to be prepared to look at everything with a whole new perspective. Don't be so quick don't compare it to the way you used to live, because, you're always going to find fault with things. And actually, you may discover that you find something is better in the other country than it was back in the States. So you're just going to have to adapt and change and just enjoy it and look at it as an adventure.
And I think I would tell people that I didn't realize before, there's always somebody who will help you. Like, for example, if occasionally somebody will call me on the phone and we'll do exactly what you and I just did. We'll go through it. And, it might be me taking a gringo over to the bus. A lot of Americans have never taken mass transit before. They think they're going to die if they get on a bus. And so what happens, and quite common for me to take 50 cents, put it in their hand, tell them to stand here, and then I have them walk onto the bus, and I tell them where to sit. And the thing is, then they go to the place, and then I get them back. Next thing I know, they're all over the place. But what happened is that first time they're very freaked out that they all kinds of stuff. But there's always somebody who will help you. You just have to ask.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I have a very important question. Well, at least to me. If you move abroad and as you age, what is the thought process of the later stages? I know it's a morbid question.
Okay. Yeah. There's 3 stages of retirement, which is the 60s, which is go-go, 70s, which is slow-go, above 80, which is like no-go.
Maybe you'll wait till 90 or 100 for it.
It's funny you should just ask that, because that is exactly the planning we've been doing this week.
Yeah.
Is that my parents had Alzheimer's. And I was in Virginia and they were in Georgia. And it was very disconcerting to basically have my neighbors call and said my parents basically were wandering around somewhere and they had to go collect them and bring them home.
Yeah.
And the thing is then they were getting taken advantage financially and everything like that. So we do not want to be down here and have neighbors calling our kids, telling them that basically something's wrong with us. I mean, that is just heart-wrenching.
Yes.
And the thing is, have been exploring that this week, is when we get to 80 or whatever that number is, what are we going to do and where are we going to be?
Yeah, a couple of things I'll say about that too is, of course, there's the end of life thing. What happens to your body? Well, we're not going to have our bodies flown off to the States and buried and all. That's crazy to us. We don't have any kind of, religious concerns about, it has to be done a certain way.
Right.
There's a medical school up the street from us. We have donated our bodies. Okay. And we've made sure everybody knows. And we've gotten a lot of other expats around the country have done the same thing. They've all signed up to donate their bodies. So that's one thing.
Great.
The big thing is that, okay, right now we're in a 2-story apartment. We may have to, at some point, let our landlord know, maybe when there's a 1-story available, maybe we'll need to take it then. And we'll, instead of here, there's a lot more respect for the elderly here than I think you find in the United States. And so we talked about, if we had to go into some sort of senior living, this might be one of the better options, or having someone come live with us that would take care of us. We'd pay them. Our main concern is if we both started suffering from some form of dementia. That's the thing, because you never know for sure that people will take advantage of you. So we've been talking about our options as far as going back to the States, using Medicare, and being close to at least one of our kids so that they can feel comfortable that one of them can come and visit and look in on us and make sure we're okay.
We could live like in Tijuana and go to San Diego and be near our daughter in LA for Medicare. Or we can be in Montreal and go across the border to Burlington and again use Medicare. So again, we're approaching of how close can we get to the border, still live an affordable lifestyle, but not basically freak our kids out that that we've where we're rotting away in some
right.
apartment or something like that,
Yeah.
But the main thing is constantly evaluating and reevaluating, because things change and you don't always know how they'll change, right? I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. So,
and one last thing is that my dad died at 70. He retired at 65 and died at 70.
Wow.
So I thought retirement was the 5 years between 65 and 70. They were in an era where they smoked, they drank, and everything like that. They were in terrible health. It's likely we could, we're planning to 82. That's what
this is the engineer speaking. Oh, I can relate, Rob. I'm the same way. We're sick.
So I got 20 years left. I'm thinking to myself, it's easy. We could live to 90, and I could actually be retired longer than I worked. That's something that we got to kind of figure out and think is that, I thought we'd just be here, we retire, we die. That's the end of the story. But now I'm realizing, damn, we could actually live a long time. And what are we going to do about that,
Go to Okinawa.
Where's that?
Okinawa, Japan. The longest living people, and their lifestyle it's actually similar to yours in that they walk everywhere and they eat natural or as organic as possible. And it's not that they even try. It's just what's growing, and it's just it's part of their lifestyle.
Is your heritage Japanese?
No, I'm Chinese.
Okay, all right. Because you said you're from Brazil, and I always thought that was kind of is that the whole idea of the merging of the Asian and the Brazilian cultures is always interesting.
Yeah, a lot of Asians wound up in Brazil because of the whole immigration bans.
Your father
and all
would
that.
have stayed there if it was up to him.
Yeah, my father actually wanted to stay there because the cost of living was wonderful. But his father was in the United States, and this was the land of the opportunity. But
yes.
It's long story short, it didn't turn out that great when they came to the U.S. So
tough on immigrants.
Yeah. So there you have it. Well, I have to say this was wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You know what? This is the longest podcast we've recorded.
But it flew by.
No, it flew by because I think we were so engrossed and we wouldn't, Gene and I had not thought about Latin America personally. We just thought, hey, this is a great area. We see all these postings on Facebook, and we know a lot of people, a lot of expats all over Latin America. Okay. So please stay in touch. And if you guys head our way, by all means, we're here.
Oh, yeah. We definitely want to come up there for those Broadway plays.
There are a couple of books or authors I'd like to recommend for y'all as well.
Okay.
And you may be familiar with them. I don't know how much you've paid attention to the books that are out there, but you've probably heard of Happier Than a Billionaire.
Okay. No, I haven't. No.
Okay. There's a series of books, and there's a woman who wrote about their adventures in coming to Costa Rica.
And she's from New Jersey. Yeah,
and she's funny as all get out, and she talks about the whole thing about all the things that went into their choosing to come down here, but also the adventures that they had here. And then there's a couple of others that are a little more on the practical side, although I think she has a practical book as well. It's actually Jen Beck Seymour and Greg Seymour. They actually don't live here anymore. They moved back to the States. They're kind of a young couple that retired really early, and they lived here for about 3 years. But they wrote several different books. They're all available on Amazon. They're very helpful about the whole process of coming down here. So,
and that's one thing we did is when I was just mentioning is that when we were thinking about this, I bought every book that was on Amazon. Back in 2014, that was 10 books. It's probably 100 now.
Oh, at least. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just bought all of them. We read all of them, whatever we get our hands on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Gene's a law librarian, but we have plenty of books on every subject. Like our son is interested in maybe getting a master's in business. So guess how many books we have? I'm not going to tell you. I am not going to tell you. They're not even for our son. It's for him. Okay. And so we're going to list these resources in the show notes that'll appear at the bottom of the podcast. Sure. Yeah. And then we'll list your the blogs that you appeared in, and as well as your Facebook group. I think all this is such rich information and so good. Thank you, guys.
One thing is I would mention, I hope when you're all done that you guys would do a podcast with yourself. That I'm thinking, when I was a consultant, you would talk to company A and they would tell you how you fixed it. And you go to company B, and company B thought you were brilliant because you told them what company A did. That I'm thinking with you seeing so many different people and so many different ways to approach this, I'm thinking that you're going to have a light bulb moment sometime here and say, man, we know how this all works,
Yeah. No, absolutely. We're hoping.
The problem is we like a lot of these places.
Every time, after each recording, for the most part,
well,
I would say,
but
about 90%.
no, I'd say more like
50? Well, I've become enamored. The initial idea is to live abroad for 90 days per year. I have not yet been to London, believe it or not. We've been to a lot of places. We got married in Italy, and so we've done some interesting things. But growing up, like you said, we just didn't have. We both came from poor families. We didn't travel at all when we were kids, really. And then when we started making money, we were so into. Well, we had a lot of student loan debt. We both went to law school, and we just stopped paying our last student loan debt on Gene's law school.
Wow.
When he turned 50. I think I finished my law school loan debt at 45. And when you think about that, and we're kind of cheap. So it's like, I don't want to spend that much money, or the money that we don't have for travel. And that's one of the reasons why we eloped to Florence. We didn't want to pay. Well, first of all, I'm from an Asian family. My mother wanted a traditional Chinese wedding. And his mom, he's half Italian, and they would have wanted a traditional American wedding. So we're like, oh, screw all that. First of all, no one's helping us pay any of our education, and it's not anyone's fault. It's just who we are and what the station in our lives.
And we're actually better for it.
Yeah, we're better for it. And, I come from a large family. I'm the oldest of 7. So we really didn't have a penny. And so when we were working, we didn't have time to travel.
Exactly.
And so here we are. That's our grand plan.
But what I would tell you, we're kind of along the same ways. And what we decided was move to Costa Rica, and it's our home base.
Mm-hmm.
It's very inexpensive. We got a place, and we got a place to come back to. And then we will travel out from here. So we might go to Europe for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
We might go to the United States for a month. But basically, the whole idea, we're kind of the idea that we don't need to live in Paris. We don't need to live in Italy. We can spend 3 months there and get all of it we really want, and then come back to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So the thing is that I would tell you is that, that's one way I think that you can get, it's a whole idea of what's called slow travel, where basically, you spend a lot of money to get a first-class flight to Rome and then be in a expensive hotel. But if you stay in a hostel or like we do, we have people couch serve, and they come and stay for free. So there's so many options basically where you can do things very inexpensively, because what happens is you have a lot of time, but you don't have as much money.
Right. That's a good point.
I just have a question I'm curious about. Are you allowed to work in Costa Rica?
Not unless you're a permanent resident, which we are.
What happens, we were temporary for 2 years, and after 3 years, you can apply for being permanent. And so I could work here if I wanted to. I mean, I actually get sick when I think about the word.
People talk about trying to monetize his Costa Rica by bus page. I'm thinking, why would I want to do that? Then it's a real job.
People want to hire me or do something. And the thing is that I actually can't do anything. I'm just a terrible employee. I just don't want to do anything.
Well, and I offered to edit a friend's book for free, just as a favor. So I didn't push her hard on certain things. I said, well, you probably should do this, probably should do that. Well, then she started paying me. Mm. And now it's like, oh God, now I have to do a really good job.
Right. That's the integrity. If you're, I feel the same way. If you're working, you have to give it 100%, and that's stressful and it's exhausting. So, don't pay us for anything, and we'll just give you some advice, and you take it. You want, if you want it.
It's nice because I got a little money though to buy a new sewing machine. So whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah. Did you get a Janome?
No, I should have. Oh.
I just got one of those a few years ago because I thought I was going to do some heavy denim like quilter or something. But we'll see. It's collecting dust at the moment, but
okay. Just I kind of want to get rid of the ones I have and get a Janome, but
so that's a good one, right? Yeah,
it is. It's like one of the best.
Well, and again, it's interesting. When we're overseas, you can't get what you want. Amazon will sort of deliver, but it's very expensive. Costa Ricans are not big sewers.
Mm.
So, for example, we like to go to Mexico where everybody sews, and there's like a fabric store like every foot, and they have like a sewing machine place. So it's just a different culture. So it's interesting for Jeni is she doesn't, there's no Joann's, there's nothing like that. Not a lot of places to get some of the stuff you want.
There's fabric, but it's not good quality, and and if there are collections, they won't have the whole collection. They'll have part of it, and months later, when that's gone, they might have more of that.
Right.
But it's inconsistent. I actually like shopping for fabric better in Mexico, and of course the U.S. here.
Oh, okay.
So I find stuff. I find stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's close enough.
Anyway.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We really appreciate your time. This has been wonderful, and we'll stay in touch.
All right. Take
Okay,
care.
great.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed our show. If you know of someone who relocated for retirement and wishes to share their story, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Our email address is gg@retirethere.com. Our website is retirethere.com, and you may follow us on Twitter @retirethere_. Don't leave out that underscore. And if you liked our show, please subscribe and rate it in Apple Podcasts. We'd really appreciate it. In the meantime, be well